Alright, so we've looked at some of the male-female differences in photos. We've gone in and applied some of those differences to the head, or to the skull. And so let's just recap what these differences are. I'm spending a lot of time to make sure we're aware of that. But the width of the mandible, okay, that's increased. So let's just write these down. 1, width of mandible. Okay, and then within that, we've also increased the width of the chin. You may or may not need to increase the width of your chin. Depends on where you started, right? So most likely your width of your chin is going to be okay, and I think mine I might have made it too large. But this is all experimental. Let's just see what all of this gets us into. Okay, the next thing we did is we took the entire brow, okay, the glabella plus the superciliary arch, and we emphasized them. Okay, that was really kind of important. We also made the nasal opening wider. Okay, so we increased the width here. We also increased the width at the top. Okay, that was really important for us. We may slope those eyes a little bit. I'm kind of actually partial, so let's make sure that the eye socket is sloped. Okay, so that's from a front view. We also diminished the zygomatic a little bit. I cut it down, but I'm not going to put that on a bullet point. That's not as essential. You may also come in and end up emphasizing the canines. That might happen, just to make that mouth a little bit more aggressive. So make sure you write these down and have a clear sense of these 4 elements from a front view. And I'm going to switch over to a side view. Okay, perspective is on, and draw focal angle is at 35. Alright, so the other thing, the glabella gets hugely amplified and the forehead slopes back. So forehead slope. Okay. Glabella emphasized, and I might have emphasized it too much. Okay, and then now the down plane of the glabella going into the nose. Okay. Down plane of glabella into the nasal opening. And that nasal opening should be a little bit more like that. Okay, the angle of mandible. The mandible. This we added. We also widened the rhombus. Those are really important. You may also want to simplify smooth and then give that chin a little bit more of a blockiness. Okay, anything else we can think of? I think we're in okay shape. Now, take a look and see if you can think of any problems, anything that might be wrong. Now, I kind of have this feeling that we're a little short here and that nasal opening is quite massive. But having that feeling doesn't mean I'm right. So I'm going to take this all the way through to the conclusion, but I am going to come in and take that jaw a little bit. Pull it forward there, and then I got to take the teeth and pull those forward as well. Okay, and while we're here, I'm going to pull that back and leave room for that lateral cartilage. Slope the eyes, but instead of changing the zygomatic bone, I'm actually lowering the overhang and raising that frontal process of the maxilla. Okay, get that down plane transition into the nasal bone a little more emphasized. And then I'm going to give one more really important distinction. No, it looks like I got it. You want to make sure that that glabella is not raised too high. Keep it down, keep it over the eye. Slope that forehead back, more like Julius. Don't forget the sagittal crest. And maybe pull in and flatten the back. If you take the hair off of all humans, you'd see a huge variety in skulls. So it's kind of hard to go wrong, to be honest with you. We just need to make it believable, though. But man, there's a lot of unbelievable skulls out there floating around. Maybe you have one. You haven't seen my skull. My glabella is probably larger than this guy's. Quite dominant. Yes, there we go. Alright. Don't feel right about his teeth. Okay, done enough. At this point, any more monkeying around I do is exactly that. It's just monkeying around. Okay. Those eyes are quite small. Thought I said I was done with monkeying around, and then they pull me right back in. Need a solid down plane or up plane, I guess is what you'd call that. And that'll really help sell the eye to me. Yeah, feel more comfortable. Check my measurements. In fact, let's check our do we have them? Yes. Okay, turn perspective off for this. Width of the eye, that's not the one I want. Alright, so pupil to lips. So it looks like we're in a little bit of trouble. Those lips need to go higher up. Ruler, tip of the nose to the pupil of the eye, that one works. We're getting there. And so everything's saying the lips need to go up, which is part of what I'm wondering as well. But that's too far up. Let's let it play. Okay, save it. And now we're going to show everything. Hide the things we don't want to deal with. And go into transpose master. Okay, and one piece at a time is what we want to be adjusting. So I want to show the skull and say the orbit of the eye and the eyeballs. Yes, that's two pieces. Let's hide the eye. And I'm going to use move, and symmetry is on. And let's use topological masking to quickly make a mask. If you're not familiar with what I just did, I'll do it again. Move, scale, or rotate, and then you click on the part you want masked, drag to a different part. It's just a very easy way to mask, and then you go back into draw. Okay, we moved that forward a little bit. We sloped the brow a little bit. Okay, that's going to get covered up. And in. Okay. We'll leave the eye. It's a separate beast. Temporalis, ear are all going to be roughly the same. That mandible or the masseter is not. Going to move, control, click, and drag to the other part. So I'm going to widen and drag that masseter down. Pull it forward, really just give it some emphasis. And since we widen the mandible, we really got to give it some love there too. Okay. So that's already starting to make him look a little bit more badass. Let's focus on the nose. Let's get all, let's see, I want to get all these guys. Then I can do one at a time. So move, click on that. Muscle I want to adjust, drag to some other part, go into draw. So we widen the nose slightly, but I need to make it sit. Okay. Go into move, click the muscle I want to adjust, drag somewhere else. So we really sloped that under part of the glabella. Okay, same, let's grab the procerus and just really push that underneath. Okay. I'll push those guys in a little bit. Okay. Move lateral cartilage and start to shape that. Of course, now the nose is going to be this different beast, not going to be anywhere near as subtle as in a female. So let's give it a definite outward descent. We're going to increase the size of the alar cartilage, as we noted in Julius's photo. I'm also going to increase the width of that base, and also along the top, because we already noted that we increased the width of that nose. Okay, alar cartilage. Alar cartilage is going to get bigger in terms of the top. Pull them together. We can also make them wider, a little bit more bulbous. And let's make them a little blunter. Don't really want this heavy hit right here. When it comes down, that's quite a heavy hit to get, so I'm just going to taper that with trim dynamic. But I do want to leave it kind of on the bulbous side. Okay. Nostril wings. Looks like they got some red wax mixed in there. Nostril wings going to be larger. Obviously this is stereotype, but go with it. See if it makes a difference. One of the ways you can make that nose appear more bulbous is just by pushing that nostril wing out too, so sets up the transitional plane differently. Okay. Showing everything. Again, we're going to move those eyes separately, but now I need the corrugator. I'm going to push those in. Okay, and then I need the frontalis. And I just want to make sure that it is setting on that forehead. So we pushed the slope of that back quite a bit. So you kind of have to push it until it penetrates and then pull back. Oops. Okay, temporalis. Make sure that's sitting with that new temporal line. Corrugator's still in trouble. Just needs to hide behind that Opicularis oculi, which overrides that. Let's see. Yeah, we need the mandible. And let's get this guy as well. Boom, boom. There we go. And same trick. Okay, I'm sorry, I just totally stopped talking. I am just connecting parts and pieces. I'm not adjusting the mouth yet. Buccinator looks fine the way it is. Okay. Next one would be the mouth. Okay, don't need to really change the width of it, but the thickness of these lips is something that's going to get changed. And of course, that's something you may want to just do in the final sculpt. You may not want to adjust that at all here, because you can't really even see what's getting adjusted. It's quite hard, but I'm going to do a tiny bit of adjustment and pull that back. I'll leave it at that. The other ones, the depressor anguli. Let's make sure that is going to get affected because we widened the mandible. depressor labii is already in great shape. The mentalis is already in great shape. The brachiosaurus could, technically speaking, pull out more. Okay, now let's start to take this, get rid of that so I can see this a little better. You can already sense more of a masculine look to this skull. Those lips are quite wide, so I am going to pull the corner of that mouth in and flatten that slightly. Okay. Already starts to look masculine. So now we need to project this, or sorry, transfer this into the model. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're just going to go T-pose to subtool. All right, there we go. Subtools off to the side. And that is definitely a more male face. Definitely. Let's bring in the other one. Let's turn perspective on. A lot of that's just that jaw. That's what made a big difference. But let's save this real quick. And let's bring in our female. That one right there. Aligned object is on, and the male 03. So now between those two, it is, I grant you, when the skin is out and you're looking at all the structure, the one on the right is a little bit harder to read as female, but the one on the left is very clearly male. Very, very, very clearly male. One of the elements that really helps contribute to this is just that strong, straight jaw. Okay, the width of that chin and mandible area. The nose width got out of control. So what I'm probably going to do is bring the nostril wings in. What I did is expanded the alar cartilage and the nostril wing, but really what I probably should have done is expand the nostril or the alar cartilage at the expense of the nostril wing, not expand them both. Let's see side views. Okay, you can clearly see the glabella. Nose is definitely more male with a higher hit, harder hit there. Okay, jaw, a little straighter, a little rounder. Oops, get a better line there. Rounder, gentler, more pointed. So pretty cool. Easy to distinguish identifiers. You want to do this a few times, make sure you're right. But now in the next section, let's take a look at actually sculpting that male head.